Okay. So as we're going, here's some of my ideas, and these were just printed out. We're gonna play with this one here in just a second. I just did a whole bunch of different shapes and sizes, well, and dimensions. And this is what you should have as well. You should have at least 8 ideas, and at least 1 or 2 of them should be pretty ready to go. So I wanted to do this one here, and then we'll do like this one. So we'll put these aside. Set that there for a second. All right, let me do this. Just so we make sure that you are seeing what you need to see. Okay, so we're gonna throw out clay. I need a front and a back for each of these, and I'm gonna need walls. So we grab our clay. And as I'm doing this, you can sketch out ideas that come to you. You can ask questions, ask me to repeat myself, all of those great things. Remember, when we cut straight from the bag, we don't have to wedge it. I'm gonna come here and cut that. If it's an off angle, which means it's thick on one side, just kind of hit that down like so. And then we're gonna throw that out. A little bit wet. Always start soft, and as it starts to spread out, you can get just a little bit more aggressive with it. Make sure you're moving from one side to the other. If you're going to add textures, you're going to trace out your image. That's probably good. You're going to trace this out. Which one should we make? Let's make that one. So you're going to come in here. Now, if you want, you can cut these out and trace right around them onto the clay, or you can do like I do. And I'm going to come here and trace this here. Now, one of the things with this outline is the bottom is round. I need to come in here and square that up, because it has to have something to sit on. Okay? If the bottom's round, it's going to roll. And we're going to see that in a second when we do this round one. So we're going to come there. And I'm going to cut it. As you're doing this, please make sure that your scraps get wedged up really quickly and put in a bag. You don't want them to sit out here. I'm still gonna flip it. I don't need to because I don't have any textures on there. I use a needle tool and not an X-Acto knife and not a fettling knife to cut, because a fettling knife has to go in one direction. It can cut, but a needle tool, you can twist it and it's the same line no matter which direction you're going. So we're going to take those. Since I'm here, I'm going to do this. Now, this top is like a lip, an opening, so I'm not going to do it as part of my piece until later, and the bottom is a stand. I'm also not going to do it as part of my piece till later. So I am just going to draw a circle. And the inside circle. Like that. I'm going to cut it. Cut the inside circle first. And the outside circle. Okay, I want one side to have texture. So let's find a great texture. This is the great texture of the day. Set that there, and then this is going to go right there, and we'll just call it close enough for now. And then I'm going to cut out some walls. So remember, you get to choose how thick your walls are. You can go 1 wood, 2. This one's a little bit thicker than that. Actually, it's not. I thought it was. Okay, so we're just going to go right here. We're going to cut 1 and a... Your walls can have textures on them. They don't have to. So that's 1 wall. We'll cut a single here. And then I'm going to wedge this up real quick. Throw it out again. Make sure you're compressing it really well as you throw it up. Now, if you're going to add things to your project, you could do it now, and you can do it when it's leather hard. It's a little bit hard to do when you get it made and then it's still soft. Okay, we'll do it double here and a single. That should be enough. I can always throw out more if I need to. I'm going to do 1 more, just in case. Line that up. And remember, that line should be equal all the way down. If we're just guessing, you're gonna have a weird tapered piece. All right, so these are going to get put back in my bag. I've got all these cookie cutters. Has anyone used a cookie cutter yet in this class? So if you wanted to cut something out, and you could bring your own if you wanted to, this is a great way of using a cookie cutter. So this plastic wrap's just on that. So you come here, actually let's roll a texture. Then you come here, you throw plastic wrap on it, cut through that, lift it up, and it gives us a nice round cut piece. Okay. Put that aside. Find my going to score that, add a little bit of slick to it. Set that right there. Something that I've found on some of your mugs is, not all of them, but if your handle came off, there's a really good chance you only scored one side and you didn't score the side that was on your mug. And so if your handle popped, because you don't have anything locking those that clay together. So be mindful of that. If I only score one side, the chance of it popping off goes up. Okay. Let's start to build this. So I'm going to build it here. And I'm going to start by, make sure you can see that, lining this up and bending it around where it needs to go. If you can make the bend and make it into one piece, that's the best. If you have to cut it, like you have lots of angles, that's perfectly acceptable. So I'm going to get it up there, and I'm going to cut the top, cut the bottom. Okay, I don't think that'll, maybe it will. Yeah, that'll work. Line up there, bend it. And remember, as we're doing this, we're building this direction. So we have the front or the back, our walls, and then in a minute, the other side will go on there, okay? Okay. Going to just flip these over, score that. And score this. Okay, I think there's one person. Is anyone going to DC from this room? One, I know you sent me a 2. You don't matter. I mean, you matter, but in the grand scheme of making things, you don't matter. Okay, get that compressed. All right. So after today, you'll have all the information you need for either of the projects. And you just need to make sure you make up the time between now and Thanksgiving break, just to make sure you're on top of stuff. Okay, you don't have to put in a coil, or you can. So I'm going to come in here and put in a coil. It's going to add some strength. Hold on the outside and press it in. And go on the other side. And then I'm going to stitch. I think stitching is probably the most important part of, scoring and slipping, and then stitching to make sure everything is linked together. And when I stitch, I start from the bottom and lift up. So I'm just going to come through. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. So you should, for some of this, most of this, you should do your building on a board. Grab one. And that's just so that when it's here, you don't have to lift it too much. But for you, well, that's pretty harsh. Can you see those stitch marks? Okay. And then we'll come with a finger or with a wood knife, and we're just going to compress those. Okay, get them in there well. Every piece is going to be slightly different because your angles, your curves are all going to be different. Okay, now we put this on top, and if you look at it, you see how it doesn't fit all the way. So what I'm going to do before I score and slip it, make sure the bottom is lined up, and then you just come and manipulate that clay in and out. It's better to be out a little bit than in. Okay, and then, does anyone see the sagging? Do you see how it's sagging a little bit? That's not a huge deal, but this is how we fix it for now. I'm going to take the same size wall. I'm going to lift that out, and I'm just going to set it in the middle. I'm not going to score it, I'm not going to slip it, okay? I'm just going to set it there. That way when I set this back on there, it's sitting pretty flat. Some of yours, you might want to put on 2 or 3 of them, as long as you can get to them and pull them out. Okay, now I'm going to gently flip this over, score this, score that. And then we're going to add some slip just to those spots. Push that into place. Any questions so far? Tamp down on the edges. Don't push too hard because you don't want to bend your walls. And now we're going to stitch this way. Okay, one of the reasons why I don't put a bottom on, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but I can come in here right now and still push out just a little bit. And then again, we'll use a knife, our fingers, or whatever you feel you need to use to compress and clean up that area. Anyone have a question on putting the coil in on this side? Is that a question you have? If it's not, how do you put a coil on this side since it's closed off now? The answer is you don't. On a piece this size, it should manipulate and move pretty easily, which is one of the reasons why we're sticking to about this size. If we doubled this size, we're gonna have a whole lot of bowing and things like that. Going to throw out a slab for the bottom. The bottom slab should be the same thickness as everything else. I'm going to set this down, bring it over the edge. I know you can't see that, we'll bring that over. The reason I bring it to the edge is that now I can bring my serrated rib and score that without hitting the table. And we're going to add some slip to it. Set that in the middle, and this is another one of those. If you don't lift this and score it, you're going to have yourself a couple of problems. You might not. Score there. Place it back down. And then we're going to cut that. We're going to cut that at a slight taper or angle. Okay, now it needs to be cleaned up. Now's really not the best time to do that. Good time to get it into shape. And then for you, this top part where those walls come together is the weakest part of this whole piece. So I'm going to reach in here, I'm going to twist that and pull it out. And I am going to add coils to the inside of both of these other walls that didn't get coils, because when it's drying, the tension is going to want to open this up, and we want to compress that. So we're going to push that in there. It's like a weld, if there are any welders in here. That doesn't go into the metal, it just on the outside. Okay, and we have the start. Now on next class period, I will clean it up. I will shape it, not shape it, I'll smooth it out. I will add some surface to it, but for right now I'm just going to set it over here. Let's do this other one fairly quickly. Now I'm just going to start by scoring these. And then This is a little taller. And, okay. No, not this one. We're gonna put it in there. And I'm gonna wrap this. And remember how we cut our angle for our cylinder, our mug? I'm just gonna do that as well. I'm gonna cut that straight down. That way they should pretty much go together. Score this. I've got to score that. And just putting this together pretty quickly. I think you understand the basics of what we're doing. Work that into place. And I'm going to add, anywhere possible, add a coil. Any questions from you so far? If it's being seen, I worry about how it looks. If it's going to be closed off, I don't necessarily worry how it's going to look. So I'm not really going to be able to see this. All right, we're gonna measure the out one. Did I do okay? It's a little off. So I just stretch that out, but then I have to come and recut, making sure the same thickness. It's pretty close. Nice. Line that up. One of the best parts about clay, at least in my opinion, is it has a lot of give. You can mess with it pretty heavily and still kind of manipulate it into place. Add some slip. Because if this doesn't line up correctly, I can always add to it or take away from it. I think that'll work. Then we're gonna use our wood rib to make sure it lines up. And then what I'm gonna do next? Stitch it, because that's super important. So I'm going to compress it a little bit, and I'm going to come in and stitch it. Another reason working on the board's good, you can kind of rotate it. get the majority of this put together. Think about what the clay is doing. Working with clay is a lot about seeing what it's doing and reacting so you can fix it to get it to where you want it to be. All right, then we're going to line this up. Try to make sure it's pretty close. Okay, flip that over, score it. Now I'm closing this off, which means I'm going to have to put a hole in it before I fire it. Remember when we did our figurative sculptures, and if you made a pinch pot, you had to put a hole in it. But I'm going to put a hole in the top here. It's going to be like a little bottle. So on Monday, when we start, I'll have all of our demos. So we'll have 5 demos that day, and or to show you. I won't have 5 demos that day. I'll have 5 demos to show you. You're gonna have your drawings, and you kind of work from there. You can see what you got. You can adjust as you go. If you don't know what to do, look up hard slab ceramics. It will help guide you a little bit. It'll give you some ideas. And then inside. If you don't score it and you don't stitch it, there's a good chance it's going to pop open. Wood knife. I could also come in and add a coil in that area if I wanted to. And then we can clean it up. How many of you last class cleaned up your piece just a little bit at the end? It's a big thing to practice. Okay, now it's going to sit like this. So either I can drop it and make a flat spot, I can add some things to it. I'm gonna just set this here. I'm not gonna attach anything permanently quite yet, but I don't want it to roll. So I just put 2 pieces of clay on the side, so it's not gonna roll. And then we're not going to do this right now because we want it to be leather hard, but that might be a little bit big. But just imagine a little opening that kind of looks like that. It goes about halfway through that. It'll be adorable. Okay.
Stitch inside on the back.
Oh yeah, I do. Great call. Pull that out. Let's see how that works. Okay. One more thing to show you, and then we will kind of move on. So this is a new technique. We're not making plates, but this is a new technique that I'm going to show you with underglazes. So I'm going to grab my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to put in a new blade. And this is called stenciling or masking. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. Okay. Poked a hole in that bucket. Okay, so this flower is designed as a stencil. I don't know if you can see that very well. The whole pattern is a stencil. So we're going to come in here and we're going to cut out the black spots. And I'm just going to do it fairly quickly. If it's not perfect, it'll be all right. I'm not going to do the small details right now, just for time's sake. You can spend the time to do it. Does anyone have a cry cut at home? Do you know what those are? Little like vinyl laminators. You can do these with that as well. Create paper patterns or vinyl patterns. I have one at home. I just have never used it. I need to. So this is a stencil. And then I'm going to do a mask as well. And a mask is to cover up. Stencil and masking are almost the same thing. But stenciling is like to push through. Almost done. And for time, I'm just going to cut out the big shapes of the leaves. So the whole point of presentations and demonstrations is to fill you in on the information that you need, but also to allow you to get some ideas for your project. And hopefully you're thinking, oh, I could do this, or I could do that, or whatever you want to do is going to be good. Okay, so we see that stencil. It's a great looking stencil. I'm going to cut it down. Oh, wait, I'm going to cut out one of these small ones. Okay. And then I'm going to cut a mask. Now, I'm just going to cut out the mountains. Okay, you see the mountains and the sky, right? Okay, so we'll set that aside. I have my spray bottles right there without water. There we go. So this is going to fit here. Yeah, that'll fit good enough. I'm going to just hit it just with a little bit of water. Maybe. Okay, and what that does is it helps to kind of soften up the paper. It also helps it to stick. So then I'm going to press this on so everything's on there like a sticker. Okay, now we're going to come over here. What colors did I grab? I have a brown, I have a yellow, and I have a sky blue. We're going to make a sky blue flower. No, we're not. We're going to make a yellow flower. The blue needs some water. And then I'm going to come here, make sure that's down, and I'm going to paint that on. Could you be more specific and get some green leaves? And of course you can. Okay. And we peel that off, and now you have that rose on your piece. You can't see that very well because it's way down there. Okay, see how that looks? So that's kind of a fun one. And let me throw out another small slab. Will someone grab me a red or an orange from over there? Sure. That'll be great. So I wouldn't do this before I made my piece. I'd do this after, but I don't have one to put it on. So it's not going to fit on my circle one. So we're going to do it before, just so you can see. Okay, so we have our circle like that. All right, there's our shape. That work for you? And we're gonna do the sky first. And we're gonna put this just like that. And it's really important that you keep your cuts nice and crisp and not cut through. And we're gonna come in here and I'm gonna put some yellow up there. I'm gonna put a little bit of red below. then now that this is down, I'm gonna paint like this. Peel that away. Got that nice little mountain effect. And then we would wait for it to dry, but we're not going to. Okay, I'm gonna line this up here. Press down on it. Then we're gonna come in with our brown, or whatever color you choose. I like to do this when it's a little bit more leather hard. You get less paintbrush strokes, but it'll be okay. And then we'll peel that off, and you get yourself a nice little mountainscape. And then if you wanted to later, you could come in here and add some little accents. In this particular one, if you wanted, you could go and cut out your trees, or you can hand paint trees, and you get that nice little landscape. Okay, all kinds of fun stuff you can do with that. Anything you want me to show you or talk about in the next 5 minutes, and then I'll let you do something else. Do you think you have the idea of making under your belt? Okay, one of the biggest reasons why you need to come with sketches is, one, freehanding onto clay is not your best option. Two, if I know what you're trying to accomplish and it's on paper, I can help guide you. If you're like, well, it's in my head, not much I can help you with, okay? I can give you some technical advice right off the top if you need to hear that. Because I'm not covering everything. There's all kinds of different things we can cover. So, Monday morning, everyone needs to have their 8 sketches. Okay, it's a graded thing. Sunday night, your quiz is going on those words that we talked about at the beginning of this demo today are going to be on there. The things we talked about on the wheel that I specifically said these will be on there. And then some of the stuff from our glaze quiz will be on there as well. So hopefully you can find your notes, and it is open note, so you're more than welcome to use those notes. Any questions? Okay.